Welcome everybody! In this video, we will recapping the latest Diablo 4 developer update livestream, where the developers shared exciting details about the game's endgame content, PvP, mechanics, and upcoming server slam event. Whether you're a long-time Diablo fan or a newcomer to the series, you won't want to miss this out. The first thing that we should talk about is Capstone Dungeons. In Diablo 4, there is a progression system called World Tiers, which players can advance through by completing milestone called Capstone Dungeons. Each world tier increases the difficulty of enemies, but also increases the chance of better loot. The Capstone Dungeons are unique challenges that require players to use specific skills to overcome them. Players must complete all the Capstone Dungeons in a world tier to advance to the next one. This system is designed to provide a sense of accomplishment and a feeling of a progression as players work their way through the different world tiers. They continued by talking about the monster behavior. In the World Tier 3 and 4, players can expect changes in monster behavior. The addition of sacred and ancestral items with varying levels of power and requirements based on when they are obtained will enhance gameplay experience. These items will be obtained from specific enemies in the game, and their level requirements will increase with each tier. This adds a new layer of depth into the game and makes each tier more challenging. The introduction of these items will also provide players with new customization options for their characters, making it easier for them to choose their desired build. So now let's talk about my events, the Helltide events. That was silly. Players can participate in Helltide. Okay, I will stop, literally. Players can participate in Helltide events to gather cinders, which can be used to unlock catches or unique items. These catches obtain items specific to certain slots, such as a helmet or boots, allowing players to target farm specific slots. This provides players with a chance to acquire unique items that fit their build and playstyle. They continued the live stream and they talked about Nightmare Dungeons. Diablo 4 will have 30 dungeons that can be turned into Nightmare Dungeons, and they will rotate every season to highlight different objectives, layouts, and monster families. Nightmare Dungeons are a reliability system for the later part of the game that players can access through World Tier 3 and 4. Players can earn sigils by completing Whispers of the Dead and other content, and these sigils are tied to a level and affect the level of monster inside the space. Nightmare sigils open up a portal near an existing side dungeon, introducing new afflictions and modify the way the level rolls out, making them great places to push your build and farm sacred and ancestral items, as well as upgrade your Paragon glyphs with socketables. So now let's talk about the Paragon board system. The Paragon board system in Diablo 4 consists of 4 types of nodes: normal, magic, rare, and legendary. Normal nodes are passed to bonuses, which are activated by hitting the required stat thresholds. Magic nodes provide various smaller bonuses, while rare nodes offer a significant bonus effect that requires specific stat requirements. Legendary nodes are the most powerful and are unique to the Paragon board system for each class. The legendary nodes offer really powerful abilities that can affect the entire class in different ways. Players can customize their character by allocating points to nodes on the Paragon board. They can also spend points to unlock additional slots to hold more socketables, which are modifiers that can be inserted into these slots to further enhance the character's stats. The Paragon board system offers a lot of customization options for players to create their own unique builds and playstyle. And Then they talked about glyphs. Glyphs are a key feature of the Paragon board system in Diablo 4. They can be placed in sockets on the board and affect nearby nodes, while also being fueled by nearby nodes. Glyphs have different configurations and socket locations on each board. They can be leveled up to become even more powerful. Players must make strategic decisions about which glyphs to use and where to place them on the board, as they can have a significant impact on character stats and gameplay. This adds an element of depth and customization to character build, allowing players to tailor their character to their playstyle and preference. Let's talk about the changes, buffs, and nerfs. The developers of Diablo 4 made changes address classes balance based on feedback from the beta testing. In particular, they added passive damage reduction for barbarian and low levels and made buff for druids. These changes were aimed at addressing the feeling that the melee classes were weaker than range classes in the game. So overall, passive damage reduction was added for the barbarian, and the druid received some buffs. They also adjusted boss abilities to make them less deadly for melee classes and modified the damage done, especially Necromancer and Druid pets. The Necromancer pets were adjusted to make sure managing minions was still part of the mastery of playing the class, but not to the point where an army of Necro can't go fight bosses. They also reviewed class skills to ensure that players had good options to escape control and pairing effects. Every class is intended to have access to a good set of options to clear crowd control. But some classes felt like they didn't have enough options at early levels. Now it's time to talk about changes to the dungeon objectives. One change was to add more ambushes, so players would encounter more monsters and not just run through empty spaces. Another change was to rework the layouts of dungeons and where the objectives were located, so players would naturally encounter objectives along the main paths of the dungeon, reducing the need for backtracking. And one last change is that once players have killed a certain number of monsters, the remaining monsters will start seeking out the player instead of the player have to hunt them down. This change was made to make the game feel more fueled and eliminate the need for the players to search for stray monsters. Alright, we are halfway there. So you're a hardcore character and you're surrounded by so many enemies, and now you want to reset the dungeon so you won't die? That's not happening. Next change that they discussed was regarding the reset dungeon button. The button was removed due to undesirable secondary effects, but the team now clarified that dungeons will reset naturally over a period of time. However, players can still reset the dungeons by leaving and creating a new instance. This change was made to make dungeon farming more balanced and reduce the monotony of constantly resetting dungeons to farm loot. The team also emphasized that this change will not affect the players negatively, as they can reset the dungeons as needed. They also talked about Ultrawide dungeons. Oh my god. They also mentioned that you cannot cheat with ultrawide monitors anymore. Blizzard addressed issues regarding ultrawide screens and ward boss encounter based on feedback from the beta test. Specifically, players with ultrawide screens reported having difficulty seeing certain ward boss mechanics, so the team made adjustment to ensure that all players would have a fair chance of success. They also said that they will release regular content updates. They have plans to release regular content updates for both seasonal and Eternal Realm players. These updates will include new features and content such as crafting, refining, updating, and modifying the game. The team will be working to add more control customization options. Additionally, the team plans to release update for Diablo 3 and Diablo Immortal, with Diablo 2 Season 4 starting on May 4th. May the Force be with you. So now let's talk about the skill tree update and renown resets. The current skill tree is not the final version and may be updated in the future to add new passive or active skills. Renown, which is used to unlock bonuses in the game, will be reset on the seasonal basis. However, the stat boosts that players receive from altars of Lilies will persist between seasons. The team also stated that they will be regularly releasing rich and interesting content updates. The next thing that we want to talk about is really interesting. for everyone. Battle Passes. The Diablo 4 team wants to balance the Battle Pass so that all types of players, whether they are hardcore or more casual, are be able to complete it over time. The team is considering the possibility to offering additional rewards beyond the Battle Pass, such as pets or additional cosmetics. They also want to ensure that the rewards offered in the Battle Pass are worth the time and effort invested in completing it. The Battle Pass system is intended to provide players with a way to earn reward through the gameplay, rather than through microtransactions. Altars of Lilies. In Diablo 4, Altars of Lilies have two main purposes. They contribute to the renown total within each zone, which provides permanent character power. Second, once a player collects a stat boost from a specific Altar of Lilies, that stat effect will propagate out to other characters of that game type. The team plan to have Altars of Lilies spread throughout the zones and rotate on the seasonal basis, so players will have to explore and find them to gain their benefits. Additionally, the team has plans to add new Altars of Lilies in future updates, providing players with more opportunities to boost their character's power. Remember we mentioned monster families? Now let's talk about them. In Diablo 4, certain monster families have a bonus chance to drop specific item types, making it easier for players to farm a certain item. This mechanic is a targeted loot system, and it allows players to focus on specific areas and monster families to increase their chances of getting the item they needed. This system is designed to provide a more streamlined and rewarding item farming experience for players, allowing them to better customize their characters and builds based on the items they collect. They also mentioned that the server slam test beta is gold. The server slam is a final testing phase of Diablo 4, closely resembling the launch version of the game. While the development team will continue to take feedbacks from players after the launch, there won't be any further changes made after the server slam weekend. This is an opportunity for the team to test the game's stability, performance, and balance with the large number of players before the official launch. They also mentioned that there is no map overlay. They continued and talked about dungeon floors. According to the Diablo 4 development team, the game's dungeons can have multiple floors that players can move between without loading screens, which can sometimes go unnoticed. Furthermore, the team is considering the addition of deep dungeons that feature elevations or depths. Now let's talk about the Fields of Hatred. PvP. The Fields of Hatred in Diablo 4 are a PvP zone where players should expect danger and the possibility of being ganked by other players. There is some matchmaking in place to prevent high-level players preying on low-level players, but there is no guarantee that solo players won't be ganked by group of players. The Fields of Hatred are large areas with multiple locations for turning in shards of hatred for rewards, allowing for strategizing and avoiding areas with the enemy players. So you need to be smart about your movement, but sometimes it's unfair and you cannot do anything about it. And last but not least, let's talk about more information about Livestream. So they stated that no co-op on PC and no mouse and keyboard on console are supported, but they stated that ray tracing will be available at launch. They also stated that while you're exploring the map with your mount, you can do some actions while you're on your mount, such as picking up the herbs. For sure you cannot do mining on your mount. I never saw that before, right? Vast movement is not supported at launch, but the team is considering adding more control customizations in future. And also, you should be able to defeat Ashava's boss at level 20. So thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. I will be streaming on Sunday, Wednesday and Friday. Feel free to come and hang out. I will be streaming and playing the games like League of Legends, World of Warcraft and Diablo, while playing some single player games and storylines like Last of Us and the new release game from Riot Forge called The Mage Seekers. If you're interested to content like this, feel free to hang out. Once again, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.